Hello to all of you moms out there. This is episode 10 of the Solve for Mom podcast. I'm your host, Anoki Kapasi. Today, we're going to get clear on why planning ahead can help you create more time in your mom life and should be a part of your personal growth strategy. I know how hard you are trying to make things work for you and your family. I've been there. Sometimes you might be dealing with your responsibilities day to day without knowing what tomorrow's day will look like. Or sometimes you're lucky enough to find yourself with some extra time, only to see it slip away because you didn't know how to take advantage of those times. The fact of the matter is that if you're winging it each day, then your days probably look totally scattered. The antidote to feeling unfocused and disorganized, uncertain, or like me, having mom brain all the time, is planning. Planning takes time, I know. And you're probably saying, Anoki, if I had the time in the first place to plan, I wouldn't even need this podcast. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but planning really does open up your time and actually much more. It gives you more energy and resources back too. I don't just want you to make it through your day or meet everyone's basic needs. I want you to thrive and be confident. Feel unburdened from constant decision-making and feel empowered to grow your individuality and manage your family time. It's time for you to start planning so that you can do what you want to achieve and have the systems in place to make those things happen. I hope you listen to this whole episode and you will be convinced by the end that planning is your key to freedom. Welcome to the Solve for Mom podcast. Do you love spending family time together every day but realize that your own interests have fallen to the wayside? Do you have a long list of things you wish to learn but you're so tired from trying to balance it all on your own and frustrated from not planning ahead to make it happen? Have you been mom for so long that you've lost track of who you are as an individual? Hi, I'm Anoki. I'm a PhD biomedical researcher, homeschooling mom, and life coach. I too poured myself into being a mom and thought I had to stop doing the things that I love to do. I was struggling to make time for myself, had lost my sense of direction, and kept second-guessing myself. I wanted to take back control of my purpose and passions. But I kept telling myself there'll be plenty of time for that later. Until I did what was natural to me. Using the methods of a scientist, I created plans to prioritize my values, organize my time, and take action towards my goals. If you're ready to go questing for your purpose, level up your learning, and confidently pursue your passions while still being the awesome mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this complex equation we call life, it's time to sharpen our pencils and our minds and solve for mom. As a scientist, running experiments, especially biological ones, is like a fast track to mastering personal development skills in executive functioning and planning. Although we follow protocols, which provide stepwise instructions of what to do, there's still a lot of planning involved. You couldn't just show up the day of the experiment to conduct everything and expect to be successful. I have to consider resources in advance. What materials and equipment do I need? Are they clean? I run inventory and look to see what reagents I'm going to need and order any in advance if they're in low stock. I have to prepare solutions. I have to check the availability of certain apparatus and rooms and make reservations. Especially if the equipment is big or expensive, they tend to be in low supply and high demand. And sometimes you have oddly timed experiments, like 16-hour experiments, where at specified intervals, you have to go in and take measurements. There's no way around going in at an inconvenient time, like 2 a.m., for example. With planning, I can create my day in such a way that it supports and allows me to be prepared to go in at something like 2 a.m. Often, you're never just running one experiment at a time, and the more you try to do, the more planning that's required as well. This is a similar concept with consulting projects. You have to plan the entire team's time and project tasks. I like to plan out the 5 W's and 1 H. So that's the who, where, why, what, and when, and how of the entire project in advance. And then, of course, there's the matter of getting everyone on the team to approve the plan. Here's the thing. The more I practiced planning, my experience would grow. And I got better at planning in the lab and for industry-related consulting. In research, there are so many opportunities to fail already, so without planning, I'd pretty much be doomed to fail. If we consider our lives as the most important experiments of all, and our families are our best research collaborators, then why wouldn't you want to take the time to plan ahead? I use the term planning as a bucket term for any type of advanced preparation. Usually includes instructions of actions to be taken to reach, your hopeful goal or outcome. It often includes some or all of what I call the 5W, 1H questions. As I mentioned before, those would be the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Plans often have specific goals like optimizing or managing your resources, time, amount of work, or outcome. They can be used to improve your performance or probability of success, or even to reduce ambiguity or decrease risk. Plans are a kind of guide that you create for yourself, and you don't usually do them off of memory. They're often recorded somewhere, and then you just refer to them periodically. And then when it makes sense, you can even reuse or repurpose your plans so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you're in a particular situation. You can even modify or refine it, if that makes sense, either to improve on different variables and increase your level of success, or to ensure that it's sustainable. So today I'm going to focus on what planning is and why it's so important. And in another episode in the future, I'll teach more about the how, and honestly, the how not to make plans. Now we're going to talk about why planning is the key to bringing freedom to your life as a mom. The first most important point is that planning frees up your time because it basically creates a path for getting what you need or want done. When the time comes with planning, you're going to know exactly what to do at that moment, and you don't have to waste time figuring things out and fumbling around looking for the things. You don't have to redo things because you're getting it wrong. Planning also helps you set boundaries, so you're going to stop spending time and energy on things that you don't need to do, and in doing so, that will create time. As I said before, you're not going to have to reinvent the wheel. It's kind of like when you put some of your contacts as favorites, and then you can just find and call them with one tap on your phone. In the same way, plans are like taking your recurring and frequent tasks and creating a sort of speed dial solution for them. In this way, planning will help you regain some time. The second reason is that planning frees up your energy. Planning aligns your efforts towards what you need to do. And so as a guide, planning helps you stay the course. You're going to make less mistakes. You're not going to overlook things with plans. And so then you're not going to have to redo things. Planning makes you much more efficient and productive because your energy is going to be put on the right things and only the right things. And you're not going to tire yourself out expending more energy than you need to. The third reason is that planning helps you maximize your resources. You're no longer wasting time, energy, your money, supplies, or other valuable resources. It eliminates redundancies because you're going to identify them through the process of planning. Sometimes this happens when my husband and I didn't have a plan to communicate and sync up our calendars. Without that plan to coordinate, we would do silly things like both of us ending up at the grocery store at different times on the same day. We were wasting our time and also, in a way, wasting our money because we'd end up buying way more than we needed for the week. The last reason I'm going to share with you today is that planning frees up your mental space. With planning, you have done all this prep work in advance, so there's so much less on-the-spot decision-making to be done. You will have clarity on what has to be done, in what order, by whom, and other important details. And because of this, you're going to find that these plans that you've laid out builds in so much more simplicity to your day. Planning brings you peace of mind. You're no longer anxious about whether tasks will get done or how they're going to get done. I have built planning into every aspect of my life, my career, my home and family life, and even my passion projects. So as a hobby, gardening requires a lot of planning from me. And so you might be thinking that, well, Anoki, there's no net savings in time because what I'm doing is shifting the time that I would spend during the project over to prior to the project. I'm going to actually explain to you why that's not the case. I am saving myself so much time and effort. So with gardening, if I didn't plan it out, it would really be a disaster because I'd be wasting time and effort and resources in making mistakes that were completely avoidable. For example, I could accidentally grow cold weather crops in the wrong season or under the wrong conditions. Or if I was ready to sow some seeds and then realize that I didn't actually order the seeds in advance, that would be super frustrating for me. If I don't plan out the space, then when it's time to plant, there's so much to consider. The lighting, the spacing, what other plants they should be next to, because there's all kinds of strategy in that as well. Am I putting it in a location with the right soil type? And so I'd have to plan to make sure that I not only have the space, but I have the right kind of space. What I found in gardening and planning is that the planning I did in the first year laid the groundwork for all the subsequent years. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. I did some hardcore planning in the beginning, and then from there on, I didn't have to replan to the same extent every year. It was really just small tweaks if I wanted to improve upon something, because I'm always striving to be better at this, or if I wanted to try something new. In this way, planning is also so key to your personal growth and self-improvement journey. I hope it's becoming clear why planning is so important. I know it's counterintuitive, but if you want more time, energy, opportunities for mental stimulation, and want to optimize your resources, then the key is to take the time now to plan ahead. Planning is for all parts of your life. I personally have plans for chores, meals, coordinating family activities, homeschooling, my personal development and passion projects, getting alone time. I even plan in self-care. I consistently use plans for accommodating changes due to special occasions and holidays. Planning is a huge part of traveling. I mean, the list goes on. And so at first, this is going to sound overwhelming, but I promise you that once you start to establish plans, you're going to start seeing openings in your schedule to do other things. And you're going to find yourself with more energy for family time and playing with your kids, or even to put towards challenging yourself to try something new. And as you start practicing planning, you're going to get better at it, just like I found was the case for me. And that's why I'm simply asking you today to just start thinking about which parts of your life could benefit from a plan. It could be helpful to start by asking where you want to spend less time, less energy, less money or resources, or where you want to simplify tasks and decision making. Make note of them, and that's all I need you to do right now. And then, as you continue to listen to the Solve for Mom show, you can start applying what you learn about planning to those particular facets of your life. And also email me what you discover at hello@solveformom.com. I'd love to find out how this is helping you and what parts of your life could really benefit from plans. So this is a really simple start for planning, and I am so excited. I can't wait for you to find out the power of planning. I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe and tell other ambitious mamas about it. Who knows, you might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. Thank you for making my show a part of your day. I'll see you next week for another episode of the Solve for Mom podcast with Anoki Kapasi.